oh, it was a hard-fought game and whatever, but it's an absolute disgrace that the coach got a red card. I can't.
You really don't. We have our blazing hot coach press conference of the week, sponsored by Haxon Ferments. And Noah, this was related. Let's talk about the game first, and then we'll play the blazing hot coach press conference sponsored by Haxon Ferments. This whole situation spawned out of what I think was the best MLS game of the season so far, between LAFC and the Portland Timbies at Providence Park. This game was phenomenal. There was goals flying back and forth. It ended 3-3, but really, like, the whole game was just like this frantic.
It was cinema.
Crazy. Yeah, it was absolutely cinematic.
The most MLS game I've watched in a long time.
And I only actually caught the last half hour of it, and I was enthralled. There was just
it's
much.
Worth a watch.
There was so much going on. The Timbies were up 3-2 late, and then Diego Chara got called for a penalty on VAR for a foul on Denny Bouang. And Noah, Phil Neville was not happy about this call. The broadcast cut to him on the sideline, and you could literally just read his lips, and what he was saying unmistakably was, but he was yelling it at a very loud volume repeatedly. So that's what he thought of the PK call that gave LAFC the equalizer. And then it didn't slow down after that. It was going, there was 11 minutes of stoppage time because of all the other crazy shit that happened in the game. DaCosta, Portland's new DP, had a free kick from right outside the box that would have won it. He banged it off the post. I feel there was 3 other shots in this game that banged off the post, just chances galore, nonstop action. So as someone who does not care at all about the success of either LAFC or the Portland Timbies, I had a great time watching it. But Steve C, who we're going to talk about in a bit, Steve C got a red card at one point in this game, which
that's hilarious.
You don't see a coach get sent off every week.
Nope.
So that little coach red card, that was pretty fun. But then Phil Nebbs, after the game, goes into the press conference room, and he had a lot of stuff on his mind. Let's just play maybe a clip or two from our blazing hot coach press conference of the week, sponsored by Haxon Ferments, featuring Portland Timbies head coach.
It was a high-level, brilliant game of football. So I think both sets of players should be incredibly proud of that performance. That is, from a pure player's point of view, that was an incredible advert for MLS football. From a player's point of view, not officially, but from a player's point of view, I don't want to add the officials into that, because I've got to say, I think the sending off of Steve Cherundolo was an absolute disgrace. I really do. I got a yellow card at the end for taking my players away from the referee. I thought that I was showing respect. I thought I was doing my job. I thought I was protecting and showing respect to a set of referees that didn't do us any favours, that have never done us any favours. And I get a yellow card, and maybe I'm suspended for the next game for actually trying to help them. But that's it, done. That's it, me done with them. And we will get a report, and they'll say that I was causing dissent. I was getting my players away from the officials. And Steve Cherundolo should never have been sent off. Should never have been sent off on any game of football in the whole world. And what we're seeing now is that we've just played a 3-3 game against one of the best teams, an incredible advert of football, and I just think that they just want to be the kings of the castle. It's all about them. They just want to show that they are the main people in this league, and unfortunately, it's not good.
How do you keep these young players focused and motivated and keep their head in the game when you can't give them a definitive, this is what's going to be called, this is how aggressive I want you to be?
Well, I just had 2 or 3 minutes with Diego Chara, who's 39 years of age, who's played more games than anyone else in this league, and forget the young players, even he can't understand it, even he can't understand it. So it's difficult to explain to the younger players when even our most experienced can't. It was an incredible game of football, and it needed a high-level game of football, needed high-level officiating. Now, what I would say is I didn't think we deserved to win the game. And I think if you speak to probably LAFC, they probably feel exactly the same way as us. The offside in the first half, it could have been on. It could have been on, it could have been off. I have to see it again. And they probably felt a couple of decisions went their way. I know that Jimmy had some incredible saves from Bouanga. So I think 3-3 was probably a fair result. But I just want to be talking about the football. I don't want to be frustrated. I don't want to receive a yellow card for trying to help the situation. I don't want Steve Cherundolo to be sent off for nothing. Steve didn't deserve to be sent off. I'm angry because the opposing manager got a red card. I think that shows where I'm at, really.
So yeah, that was Phil Neves. Not happy.
No.
Not happy. And I was told that Steve C's presser was hot as well. And I couldn't find it anywhere. I could only find a 1-minute clip on Twitter.
They're hiding the evidence.
They're hiding it. But both of the coaches were just absolutely livid.
Both are getting fined
about
for
the
sure.
officiating in this game. Yeah, I mean Phil Neves. Yeah, well, Steve C. We were listening to it before we started recording. He's getting fined. They're both getting fined. I thought it was funny how Phil Neves right there was like defending it in absolute disgrace that Steve C. got sent off.
Yeah, it is funny. You don't often see, like, in a game like that, another coach be like,
oh, you know, it was a hard-fought game and whatever, but it's an absolute disgrace that the coach got a red card.
You really don't.
that's like uncharted territory.
That's how hard Phil Neves was cooking off this game.
It's so incredible. This game just in general was it was beauty. It was an MLS game for
I think Phil Neves was right that it was like a great advertisement for the league. Like when you go to a game, like that's the type of stuff that gets the adrenaline going. I think what the Sounders did, just beating the shit out of the other team, that is one way to put on a show. But games like that where it's just two good teams, like, I mean, unfortunately, the Portland Timbies they've been scoring a ton of goals lately. They've been playing really dynamic in attack. And LAFC, I think they showed in this game that they've still got a little bit of that LAFC to them. So there is like a different type of energy to a back and forth game like that, where one team has to come back and it's just chances flying back and forth.
Yeah,
it was awesome, and that was a great blazing hot coach press conference of the week. Shout out Hacks and Ferment.
Phil Neves. I think Phil Neves might be on like Mount Rushmore for flaming hot pressers.
He really is.
And now that we have lost the GOAT of flaming hot coach pressers, which we literally have an ad based around our former Sporting Kansas City GOAT, he might have to take. Do you think he's taking the throne? Like, who's the most flaming?
I think it's got to be Phil Neves, because the thing about Steve C is
he's so composed.
Yeah,
when
like
he's
even
doing
when
it.
he's cooking, he's composed. Whereas Phil Neves actually puts the Peter Vermees like emotion behind it.
Yeah,
So
he gets straight tilted.
I think he's taking up the mantle, and you know he's got that team playing pretty well. So we've given Phil Neves a hard time, but
We did
you
say
do have to
extend him.
acknowledge that exactly. You do have to acknowledge that the Timbies they look like they're coming after it right now.